moving over to games, finally. Over an hour into the program.
Oh, God.
Mark, we've been waiting for a couple of weeks now. You've been teasing us with this Genesis Noir chat. So, hit me.
Yeah, Genesis Noir. This is a very unique video game, is putting it mildly. It's kind of an adventure slash surrealist neo-noir slash point and click slash puzzle game, but isn't actually like any of those things at all. It really is its own thing. It might sound hyperbolic to say that I've never played anything like it, but I've really never played anything like this game. Now, that is with all of its flaws and all, because it does have some flaws. It has this black and white kind of a lot of negative space visual style to it, a lot of kind of two-tone visuals. And the story is, it's the exploration of the Big Bang, but it's told through this relationship between this detective who's trying to save either a girlfriend or this kind of damsel in distress from a scorned ex-lover who he fires a gun in this room and the screen freezes, and from that you kind of explore different areas, fulfilling various tasks. But the game doesn't give you really anything in the way of dialogue. It'll give you written descriptions of things that you pick up, but really the entire story is told through surrealist symbolism and metaphors, and a lot of it is you just kind of sitting there stroking your chin going, what does this all mean? And to be honest, for a lot of it I've no fucking clue what any of it means, but I was more than happy to just kind of sit back and be taken on the ride. It has a very, very chilled but at times aggressive jazz soundtrack, that it's not in the way of like an Ape Out where the soundtrack is kind of dynamic to your actions, but it definitely, it really kind of picks its moments to bring up the tension or just to kind of like chill things out. It's not the kind, I guess it's like Ape Out in terms of it's a soundtrack, a jazzy soundtrack that you're probably not going to listen to on its own, but when compared or when kind of bolted on with this game, it really kind of completes the package. Really trying to explain like kind of gameplay, it's just not possible. You'll be in an area where your character, you can kind of walk around, and the game really doesn't lead you to figure out, like, it doesn't really kind of point you in, hey, here's a thing that you need to do. You just kind of click at the screen and things happen. Kind of like a point and click adventure, but that usually tries to bolt on some sort of logic where this doesn't. You just kind of click around and kind of wait to see what happens a lot of the time. It's quite buggy, because the game, and this is probably quite a big flaw, because the game really isn't clear a lot of the time about what you're meant to be doing. It's sometimes hard to know if the thing that you're doing is actually right or is wrong, and if something is wrong, you're not entirely sure if it's because it's intended to be wrong or because you've just run into a bug, which happened on a couple of occasions. There's a bit where you are sort of walking along, but there's actually like a riverbank that you're on, and I just walked towards the water because for whatever reason I was drawn to it. And I ended up kind of getting stuck in this bank, but the scene continued, and the water lowered, whether it was meant to be intended or not. And I got to a point where I couldn't walk any further right, and I couldn't walk any further left, and I couldn't actually get out of the bank, and I was just stuck there. So I had to reset that chapter, and the game's checkpoints are based on the chapters that you're in, and chapters can be anywhere up to like 20-25 minutes long, depending on what you're doing. And that's very frustrating because you literally you just have to start that chapter again. There's nothing you can do about it. And there was also a point as well where I'd walked up to the kind of top of the edge of this cliff, and there was only one thing in the screen that I could click on, but my character was directly in front of that object, so I couldn't actually click on it. And the camera had locked at that point because obviously the designers had intended that at this moment you need to click on the object to progress to whatever like the next scene is or whatever. But I literally couldn't click on it because my character was in the way. And again, I soft locked myself out of the game and I had to start that chapter again. So that's happened on a couple of occasions, and that's extended my gameplay by like an hour or so more than was intended. I think I'm near the end. I'm about 5 to 6 hours in. It's a really it's hard to say how to recommend this game, because I don't think it is by any means like a great game, but I do think it's a great experience, as pretentious as that might sound. And it is really, again, it is unlike anything else that I've played, and I think even with the flaws that it has, it is worth checking out. And it is on Game Pass, so you don't have really an excuse to at least not check out like the first 15 minutes will really give you the flair of like, okay, am I gonna want to see this game out, or at least kind of see what it does further. But yeah, it's a very, very unique experience. So that is Genesis Noir.
Yeah, it's one that's been on the list for me, because everybody, like, kind of like you, everybody who describes all the interesting things about it, but at the same time, in spite of all the words you can use for it, it also defies description.
Yeah.
Most people who play it just end up saying, look, just play it.
Yeah, because even like, stuff like walking simulators, there's kind of you can still explain them, even though they're not games in the traditional sense you think of games. There is still kind of like a logic to, you do this, you do that, you do that. Mm-hmm. And Genesis Noir, I guess it does have that, but even within that, there's still just not a lot of logic to what's going on. It's wild. It is pretty wild.
It looks cool as shit.
It does. It genuinely, it's one of those where I'm not sure I could say that it's like the best looking game, but it definitely is like best style kind of game. So
it's in the best looking shortlist already.
It's definitely in there for me. Best looking and best soundtrack. I'm not sure if it is like a slam dunk winner for either, because I think it's one of those, when you have like best soundtrack and best sound design, I think it fits more into that category, like an Ape Out. So definitely check it out.